Hello, beautiful family. So welcome to the Science of Our Genetic Divinity, part 1. So just bring yourself into just a comfortable seated position. Have a straight spine. As we just begin to center and align ourselves to the presence within us. And this beautiful, incredible rediscovering and remembering of this knowledge and wisdom that is our divine right. And so just take a deep breath in through the nose. Breathing in light into the heart and the chest, and expanding it into the body. And as we release, just letting go of any concerns, worries of the past, the present, or of the future. Just bringing ourselves fully here. We just ask and connect to our I Am presence, the divine nature within us, to be here and allow us to integrate all this sacred knowledge with more than our eyes and our ears, but with our very essence, with our very being. Just take a deep breath in, inhaling all the energies of the I Am presence into every cell, every part and space. And just exhale, releasing. And just connect to Gaia, to the earth, grounding the energies. However that looks or feels to you, whether it be roots from your feet or the base chakra, or a golden cord of light connecting to the center of earth. And we open the channel above us to the source of all being, fully here, present and aligned. And we ask this beautiful mentor and teacher, the beloved Babaji, to be here with us and guide us. As he is a beautiful aspect of ourselves, greatly embodied. It's one of the divine avatars and world teachers for Gaia and Earth. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Great One. We see ourselves in you as you see yourself in us. And just with that, just begin to bring yourself fully present into the body. Begin to open the eyes, ready to receive and remember all that is. Wonderful. Thank you all for being here. Love you all so much. So, this is now, just would like to honor these incredible teachers. We mentioned Babaji in our opening, centering this incredible avatar, the immortal avatar Babaji Nagaraj, who is this incredible teacher. And this is the sacred knowledge the divine knowledge behind Kriya Yoga, the incredible technology for union with the source of all life and all creation, which many people call God, you know, Allah, Vishnu, all these different names through all these different ages. And my beloved, incredible teacher was named Akasha Sananda, and at 25, on nearly my 25th birthday, 2 days after my 25th birthday, this knowledge came to me, and he was taught by Babaji, and this is, you know, for us now to know and remember as we move into embodiment, and this is our divine right, and walking this path is such an incredible journey, and I just would like to honor these two incredible teachers. So and if in the future, you know, you connect, I mean, Babaji, like when I turned 29 and he actually came to me and I experienced my liberation, and he, you know, helped me reach those final stages and places within myself, freeing myself from the suffering. And we'll go into a bit more what liberation actually means later on. And you know, so just invite, you know, these you know, Babaji into your life if you feel the call, knowing that he is you and not separate from us. That's really key as well, is, you know, that we are one with all that is, and this incredible reflection of us has an incredible level of embodiment, and that can help and guide us. And so just, you know, if in the future you feel the calling and resonance to connect with this being, just be aware that as you do so, that we are one with him, and you know, he is one with us. So the great invocation is an incredible place to start, because it opens and connects us to the universal field of intention. And so I just invite you just to close your eyes, and we're just going to recite the great invocation, and just reach out with your heart as you hear it, and place this in your mind and in your heart. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of humanity. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of humanity. Let love and light and the divine plan and the divine will work out through the minds and hearts of all beings here on earth and through all life and creation. Adonai. With this intention, we begin to connect to divine love and divine truth, and upholding the greatest intent for all life and all creation. And these words are very sacred and very special. And if you feel the call, you know, just to look up the great invocation and, you know, maybe bring it into your life on a daily basis. So as we move on now, right, the first part of this journey is these incredible words, nosce te ipsum. And what do they mean? Well, these words have been plastered throughout all ages, and they were actually over, you know, these temples in ancient Greece, and the Latin translation, but they actually go back into Sanskrit as well. But the translation of these words is to know thyself. And to the journey of knowing thyself, the true self that is beyond the limitation of the identification with the persona, the ego, the mind and the body. The true self is the infinite, the eternal, the cosmic, the ever expanding consciousness that we really are. And the journey to know thyself is the one that all teachers and all spirituality, in which this, this word has been quite diluted and means all these different things now, but this is the journey of the spiritual path, is to know thyself and to truly not just conceptually understand, that we are source and one and God or whatever you wish to call it, but to know it, to embody it, and to live from that place. And this is this incredible journey that this knowledge and wisdom, which will be outlining, here today, of how we are that, so that the mind can, understand conceptually. And the first part of this journey is to conceptually, understand how we are the one that is all things. And then we can move into the embodiment of knowing that truth and embodying that. So these incredible words, really epitomize the spiritual journey, or the journey into self-realization and to know thyself. So thousands of years before the Bible, the kingdom of heaven is within you, and whoever shall know it, know himself, shall find it. And this was the Egyptian Book of the Dead, thousands of years before the Bible. This was an incredible knowledge and information that transcends so much of what we know as religion today. And these incredible words go back to and though whoever shall know it himself, or know themselves, shall find this truth, that the kingdom of heaven lies within us. It is not outside of us, it is not above us, and hell isn't below us. It all lies within us. And just really, really important to understand this, is that everything lies within us. And we will go into how this oneness transpires, and how we can look externally and see the universe, but then internally this kingdom of heaven, or the universal harmonic frequencies of creation, are within. So we are quite literally, as we were talking just then about we are a microcosm of the macrocosm. And these words is, why people say we are a living embodiment of the universe, or conceptually many people say, I am God, or we are God, but it's still a concept, for us, until we move into the embodiment of this knowing. And so, we live in a holographic universe, and this is, it's proven by science that everything holds mirror images, and it's beginning to unravel and unfold now on a scientific level. But Indians and Tibetan yogis and all these incredible beings knew this thousands and thousands years ago, and this is this information. So when we break down the word, the etymology, which is the history of the word, when we look into the Latin understanding, because it's the easiest way to translate, because Sanskrit was the original, and the Aramaic and the Hebrew, but then it moved into Latin, which is where the English language comes from. So when we break down the word into Latin, which is transcribed from all these ancient languages, we can start to see this truth. So hollow in Latin means whole, and graphic in Latin is line or complete, a point from A to B. So it's the complete story, the complete journey from point A to B. And uni is one, and verse is story. And so when we put all these words together, it's whole, complete, one story. And that is the literal definition of the holographic universe. And it's an incredible understanding, is the fractals of a holographic universe is when you find a hologram. If you have a hologram of an apple appearing in front of you, then if you take even just a tiny pixel of that hologram and you look at it, that tiny pixel holds the entire apple in that little pixel. And this is what the holographic universe means, is that each and every part of this holographic universe holds this whole complete one story in itself. And so, our cells can, and we will go into seeing this quite viscerally, how even at the cell is the microcosm of the macrocosm, and how our bodies are the same thing, and it's all these fractal consciousnesses of this whole complete one story, and it's really, really incredibly beautiful. So before we begin, though, this is state of non-action, right, is really essential to understand, because when mastered, this brings about liberation instantly. And before my meeting with Babaji, I knew of this experience, but I didn't quite fully embody it. And this is this journey of acknowledging what is necessary and needed, and getting into this state is the beginning of releasing our limitations, and accepting our divine truth. And so our limitations are the things that we have accepted and created, that takes us away from the divine truth of our oneness, that basically is the truth that we are God, we are source, we are this whole complete one story, living and choosing up until this point limitation to experience that. So this is what, like, the being we know as Yeshua was speaking about when he said, "Be still and know that I am God." This is the state of non-action, and what it really means is understanding what we are not. So up until this point, we have been like experiencing ourselves as these things. So our body, our mind, our thoughts, our experiences, and we are none of these things. And the state of non-action allows us to be still and acknowledge our oneness, the divine truth, which is we are the transcendent consciousness that lies behind all these things, because our body, our mind, our thoughts, our experiences are a creation of this consciousness. But the consciousness, the oneness, the fractal experience of this whole complete one story is our truth. And the state of non-action is the releasing of our individual wants and desires and aligning to this truth. So you know, this you know, we are the conscious creative power that lies behind all these things. So a phrase that came to me at the beginning, which really sums this up, is, "Are you ready? Are we ready?" I was asked by the source, by the being that we all really are, and that when we start to connect to, I was asked, "Are you ready to give up everything that you think that you are?" So my body, my mind, my thoughts, my experiences, and begin to receive all I truly am, or all you truly are. And that, my answer was yes. Absolutely. And this is a journey I believe that we're all going to be taking. So to really begin this this understanding, the first we need to understand this primordial energy. Pardon me. Thank you. So the primordial energy is the darkness that is known as the source or womb of creation. It is pure unmanifested energy, or what is known as 0 point energy. And 1 cubic millimeter of this energy could boil all the oceans of the world in a nanosecond. And we would still have enough energy to power the world for like decades, or millennia even. And each and every cell in our body, as you can see here in the central point, is this incredible expansion of energy. And aligning to this, when we move into the state of non-action and stillness, this is what we begin to tap into, this dark energy. Because dark, the word dark has been greatly misconstrued, and people associate dark with evil. But dark has never been evil. Dark is the unknown. It is the unmanifest. And from the darkness, all things come. And it is really important that we begin to understand this conceptually, because we are the living embodiments of this energy, this primordial energy. And this sound, this expansion of creation, you know, is known as the sound of Om, which is the first sound, the Om, or in these, you know, modern day Western understandings of it, we know that Om as the I am. And once we tap into this energy, which is coming into the state of non-action, we can do anything, absolutely anything, because this energy is completely completely opens all realms, all possibilities, all alignments. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to move into what is known as the void and align ourselves to true north. And true north is moving into this state of non-action. So true south is down and in, and true north is up and out. And true north is aligned to the center of source within our universe. So we have a magnetic north, electromagnetic field, that when you look at a compass, it's guided by magnetic north, which leads to the North Pole or the South Pole, depending on obviously where you would like to go. But true north aligns to the center of the universe, to the center of all centers. And so like aligning ourselves to this frequency helps us stay in that vibration and that connection to that first, middle, and like the first part, the middle part, and the end part, which is the state of non-action. And there's an incredible like tools as well that we can align ourselves, because the emotions are the things that take us out of this state of non-action, and it's a really important part, but we won't go into that right now. But when we stay aligned to this state of non-action in what's known as the void, then the primordial energy begins to move through our bodies and realigns all chakras, readying us for the liberation and ascension of the consciousness through our bodies as the physical embodiments of this incredible, ever-expanding, eternal, infinite consciousness. So we're just going to do a quick meditation. I'm going to share with you the meditation that you can do regularly if you wish, to bring us into that void, that place of non-action, or the place of stillness and peace. So just begin to get comfortable, and just close your eyes. And bring the focus and attention onto the heart. Just take a deep breath in. And just exhale. And just allow yourself to fully feel the light in the center of the chest expand and grow. And we're going to reach down now with this light traveling through the body and out through the base of the spine and into the planet, into our mother. And reach down this connection of this golden cord of light through the levels and the layers of the earth, traveling through the rocks and minerals, through the lakes, traveling towards the central core. As you approach the core, the central chamber, you see this beautiful sphere. And as you enter this sphere, you peer into this central chamber. And it's warm and soft and comforting, like a mother's love, a mother's care, a mother's protection. And in the center of this chamber is the beautiful crystalline core of Mother Gaia. And just move forward and connect deeply into this central point, this chamber, this crystalline core, which is her heart, the sacred of sacreds, the holy of holies. And allow yourself to penetrate her heart, to move deeper. And at the center of her heart there is this central point, this void, this point of darkness. And bring your full focus and attention onto this point and just allow yourself to reside in the center. And with the intention of aligning ourselves to the true north, to the vibration and the frequency of stillness, and alignment to the central core of our universe, we're going to together do 3 ohms, holding that intention in the mind and the heart, connecting to this sacred space within the heart of our beloved mother. So just take a deep breath in. Final one. Just feel the vibrations of this sacred sound, which is the source, the first sound of creation, emanating through your being, through all levels and layers. Take a deep breath in, fully expanding and feeling this vibration and frequency all the way through the body, all bodies, all levels, all layers. And just begin to move away from this central point in the heart of hearts, crystalline core of Mother Gaia. Begin to move back out into the heart space and then into the central chamber. And see the golden cord staying anchored and connected. But begin to move back up the cord and out of the central chamber, pausing at the edge, just offering the gratitude and love for this beautiful being that we are inherently children of and connected to always. And just move out of the central chamber after you've said gratitudes and sent love and appreciation. And just move through the levels and the layers, through the rocks and the minerals, back up towards the base of the spine, and back up through the body and up into the heart, feeling fully present within the body. Just bring the hands onto the heart, acknowledging our unity with what we are, with all that is. Thank you for all that is. Just begin to bring yourself back and open the eyes. Welcome, welcome. Okay. It's 3:33 here. Wonderful. Beautiful. Okay. So that is an incredible, beautiful, like meditation that can be done, you know, almost in a minute, right? Every day, if you feel the need or the call or the want. But finding where we come out of this alignment is really you know, essential. So I highly recommend, I call it taking radical responsibility, and I highly recommend anything that brings you out of this space of stillness and love and peace and connection, that just start making a note of, start making a list, start taking that responsibility for this, and then they can be done and work through when you feel right and ready. That to me is, you know, has been my personal experience, and I highly recommend that is begin to adopt a practice or a similar practice, whatever that is, looks like for you in your own lives, because it has helped me beyond words. So and that small quick meditation can be done multiple times through the day. Just take a minute and realign the self. It's really beautiful. So yeah, going to just move on now to the next, which is just debunking basically the Big Bang, because this Big Bang is the scientific community, I mean, it's not really being spoken about, but they're basically realizing that the Big Bang is just a theory. It's not true, correct, but for those of us who have been, you know, through school systems in the Western world and everything like that, it's sort of like taught to you that this is the truth. And or it's sort of, you know, implied that this is the truth, but this is actually quite false. And you know, all these incredible beings have always known this for a long time, and it's actually more like a big bounce. And we're just going to go like a little bit expand into this. So this whole Big Bang theory is just like, the scientific thing is, give us this one miracle about like how it happened, and we'll tell you how, you know, how everything else works. But every bit of scientific, you know, theory up until this point has been like, you have to give us a miracle and then everything will explain everything else. So this, once understood, this we go back to the primordial energy. So the primordial energy is the source of all things, and it's not actually one explosion that happened. It's a constant emanation from the source of the primordial energy in every single moment, in every single cell, in every single atom is this primordial energy center base, which is the dark, which then brings the light into expansion, and it sustains consistently this infinite energy of all creation. And we understand, when we're coming from this place, we understand the universe is like a pulse, a breath in and out, just like our very own bodies. And this is why this big bounce theory that they've come up with is far closer to the reality or understanding, because this primordial energy is consistently outputting this creation, and it is what's known as like a cosmic day. And so we have this massive expansion where everything begins, and it's like 13.8 billion years in sequential time, and then there's a contraction, and it's like a breath. You know, the universe is breathing in and then out, and this is the same with our bodies. We breathe in and we breathe out, and all visible universe is made up from this ionized gas, which is, you know, what is in physical form what we know as ether. And they're discovering this scientifically, and this is what binds all life together, and is the fifth element of what we know as spirit, which they're basically starting to discover this now in a theory called the electric universe theory. They call this energy plasma, and you know, as we begin to advance, you know, consciously, more and more of these truths are going to come up, and be recognized that all the ancient mystics and understandings and these incredible wise beings knew all this information way thousands and thousands of years ago. So this fifth element, it brings us back to the solid understanding that all things are connected. We're going to go a bit more into like what ether is a bit later. So yeah, it brings here in the field, like this interconnectedness, it brings back into a linear fashion that all things are connected through this fractal understanding, and this ether is how that happens. So this is the next big thing, is that moment when all of these dots start to connect. And as we look into the deeper understandings of fractals that play out across our universe, this is the sacred geometry here on the left. This understanding, as we begin to understand this, we move into this understanding that we can see on a large, huge scale what is beginning to happen. So this forming of a star is this first point, and then we move over to the an original cell, and we can see this, the forming of galaxies and then nebulas, and then all these different things in the central here on the macrocosm. But then we move over into the microcosm, which is the cells within our bodies, and the exact similarity of the sacred geometry on a large scale and on a small scale. It's exactly the same. And it just allows us this deep understanding that we are inherently connected, and we can dive deeper into this fractal knowledge, which opens up infinite potentialities and possibilities of this expanding nature of the self. So as we begin now to move forward, what we're going to go deeper into this understanding of a fractal. So our cells receive energy, and when we come from a place of separation, our cells receive energy through what we we put food into our bodies, and this food then helps and supports and assists the cells grow. But in actual fact, that energy is always from the source, the presence that lies within us. So I'm just now on a fast, and I haven't actually eaten solid food for over 3 weeks, and I'm beginning to understand that these limitations of cellular bodies, remembrances, are really down to our belief systems. So we can see here that the cells divide based on the energy that is given to them, and when we're feeding our bodies not very good things, or things that do not support the harmonious balance, we become imbalanced. And this field of creation is always about this emanation of this larger whole, this larger balance, and we sit in larger and larger fields of energy. Ooh, I just moved forwards here, so just going to go back. So as we move into this understanding of that we are basically swimming in an energy, an ocean of energy, and if you were to ask a fish, could you explain to me the water that you're in, the fish would ask, well, what water? And it's the same. We have the same concept, is that everything is energy around us, and everything is providing and supporting this energy for our bodies. But we have been living in this experience of separation, and so the cells have been limited of our bodies by our belief systems of what is providing and supporting the energy within us. And this moves back as we move into the state of non-action and connecting to the primordial energy. We start to bring this infinite energy of the universe through us, and this is how miraculous things start to happen. But in order to do that, we need to be in perfect alignment and hold this beautiful balance. And this is what this incredible field, what is known as the torus field, is known as. And if for those who haven't seen the movie or the documentary Thrive, I highly recommend it. This the first one, and they've just brought out a second one, and this really begins to know that this knowledge here that is being shown and we're remembering and rediscovering, so many beings are rediscovering the same thing. This is just, we're going to go really quite deep and quite advanced, because it comes directly from this incredible knowledge source which Babaji brought through thousands and thousands of years ago. So you can see the torus field here on the right, going through the heart center, which is a central point which connects everything. And the torus field holds a perfect way of energy to move through creation, and it both sends out and receives energy in equal measure, which allows us the experience of individualized consciousness. And this torus field is once again a fractal of everything, and we can see it in all forms of creation. And we're going to go into a bit more of that in a second, but you can see it here playing out. So on the individual level as a human, and then here as across the planet is this spherical nature that appears over and over again. We can see it. And and then on the massive scale, on the galactic level, you can see here that it's just, we are the microcosms once again of the macrocosm. So what we're going to start doing is we're going to now bring it into, like, for example, our solar system, and how this sacred geometry patterns start to apply to our journey that we look at. Because if you see we go back and we see the torus field, you can see these lines, these intersections that basically create this perfect balance, this perfect understanding of that allows us this beautiful individual form of this one consciousness, this one energy, which is the primordial energy and which is the source of all consciousness. So yeah, we'll go into where this lies within our solar system. So these sacred geometries, these are in the top left, Earth and Venus orbiting around our sun, and you can start to see these fractal patterns in the the torus field. When you would look at the torus field on a 2D perspective, there is a central point and these beautiful patterns start to unfold. And as we move over to the right here, Mars and Venus, the 7 ormas, what does that look like? It looks like a sort of torus field from a 3D perspective. If you looked at it this way, there's a top and there's a bottom, and we can start seeing it playing out in all these wonderful patterns. And this is going to be very important as we move on, because the solar system, our very solar system, lies within our bodies, and each of these planetary energies also play a role in our development and growth. It's why, in India, there was such an incredible thing about astrology, and some people around the world, some cultures, they don't do anything. Like, they don't marry a person whose astrological chart don't match up with theirs, because there's a reason for that. There's these planets massively affect our bodies and our karmic imprint as we are born into a body. The date, the time, where we're born, all these different things are chosen by the consciousness because it wishes to experience certain things, which are supported by the planetary alignments, the energy frequency of the planet in which they're born, and even the day and the time in which they're born. It's all perfectly chosen by this consciousness that we are wishing to experience what it means to be here as limitation. So moving and understanding a bit more about the sacred geometry, here we can break down the sacred geometry of what we can see in the world, or the 3D, as these 5 basic shapes called the Platonic solids. And these are the building blocks of all creation here. And all organic form comes from these patterns. And they each have a basic corresponding energy that allows the elements or prana or life force, or whatever you want to call this primordial energy, to come together in harmony and balance. And so that is why when we go into nature, the nature in itself holds these beautiful fields, these huge, like a tree holds an incredible torus field that is in complete balance and harmony with everything else around it. And this is why when we move into nature, these sacred geometry forms and the energies of nature completely support our own rebalancing and moving into this divine connection. And when they come together, these Platonic solids,
what they do is they create something truly incredible, which we're going to go into next. But it's really important that these to understand as well that these 5 solids also linked to the 5 elements. So we have fire, air, earth, water, which is the basis of what we know as the 3D or physical reality. But then we have the 5th element, the dodecahedron at the end there, which is the representation of spirit or ether, or this interconnectedness that we mentioned before at the very beginning. And we're going to dive into what that means and how that connects with us in incredible ways as we go on in a bit. So when all these are brought together, this incredible experience of, incredible sacred geometry appears. And this is, what's known as Metatron's cube. And this Metatron's cube, when everything is fused together, is the basis of what we see here in the physical. And there, I won't go into, Metatron is one of the archangels, and I won't go too much into archangels because as a whole, we could go down rabbit hole there. But basically, this sacred geometry allows this infinite primordial energy to have a structure that moves from the infinite oneness down into separation and into individualization, which is what we call the 3D. And so we can have the incredible experience of experiencing separation. I can touch you, you can touch me, I can touch the desk, I can have this computer, and I can have this experience of separation. This is what Metatron's cube, which is a form of sacred geometry that allows separation to take place. And there are many different sacred geometry forms, and we'll discuss what we're actually moving into. We're moving from this metatronic structure, which allows separation, back into what's known as the Christ structure, which is a connection to the eternal oneness and the primordial energy in balance and form, because Metatron's cube actually is an imbalanced way, and it starts the cycle of life, like birth, and then it moves into death, and it's like a consumptive model, but it allows limitation and separation, which is the purpose of it, which is an incredible, beautiful experience. So you can see here at the bottom, right, where these all, like the Platonic solids fit into it, and it's really incredible just seeing just a bit of the breaking down a bit there. As they all, when you join them all together, they create this structure. And so we're going to move now into our DNA, and our DNA, it's truly incredible, and science still has very little understanding of what our DNA actually is. And up until very recently, they even said that 96% of our DNA, they called it junk DNA. They had no idea what it was about. And the DNA actually is the sacred geometry. So you can start seeing here in the middle, the top-down view of the DNA on the right, in the middle, in the white. What does it start looking like? It starts looking like the patterns of the solar system that we saw earlier. So these sacred geometry forms, the solar system, all the planets moving and rotating around the sun. We can look at a microcosmic level inside of our very DNA, the exact same patterns. And then it's been used in certain ways, like church windows and structures and forms, and then even the somatic frequencies, right? The sound, when we can see visualizations of sound, this is once again the interconnectedness, and everything is constantly moving and vibrating. And we can see this here within our very bodies. And our DNA is so incredibly special as humanity, because a single tiny speck of DNA, like on the top of a head of a pin, can hold something in the equivalence of 9 billion volumes of the Bible or an encyclopedia. And they've actually programmed DNA to hold that much information, right? And our DNA is so incredible, is that all history, all information through the interconnectedness of things, and if we go back to the dodecahedron and the spirit of ether, this is the connection that we have. Is our DNA is infinitely connected through the spirit of each other, because as we look at the our DNA is actually in the shape of the dodecahedron. As you can look here at the top, we'll break it down a little bit further in the next slide, but on the bottom left here you can see this dodecahedron being played out through our DNA. And what that means is that our DNA holds the entirety potential of all the history of the universe within us, and we have the ability to activate all parts of our DNA when we start moving out of this focus separation and into the connection to all things. And it's truly such an incredible and amazing journey. And our genetic code of our bodies is quite literally, we can upregulate or downregulate proteins and start to activate. The DNA activates these levels in which we can start to embody higher and higher levels of consciousness, into the point in which we are quite literally the living embodiments of universal understanding. And that is going to, where we're all moving as we're moving into this new age and understanding, is that we are God, and we will be living from that truth and that experience. It's just so unbelievably exciting. So we're going to break it down now and go into the golden ratio. And guys, I understand this is a lot of information. So this is why this is recorded. This is going to be here, so, and I highly recommend that everyone just go back over this information in your own time, because we've got about 5 more slides, and then the recording, this will be section 1 of part 1. But there's a lot of information, so just take what you can now and just keep revisiting it if you so wish to. It's one of the beautiful ways, and there'll be ways in the future that we're going to break down this information, I think, even further, because there's a lot. This is section 1 of part 1 of 5, so there's a lot to come. So this golden ratio we can start to see throughout all nature, throughout our entire world. And we can understand this macrocosm, this microcosm, this fractal patterns, and this sacred geometry template here throughout on Earth and throughout the whole universe. And this can be summed up with, my favorite poem by William Blake. It's to see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. And when I heard that, my whole body was just like, oh, and I didn't understand it until I really understood this knowledge and information, because this golden ratio, basically what it does is it from the central primordial energy, it begins this spiral, and this spiral of creation, of creational energy, is brought through the Metatron's cube, which allows birth, and then all the way through this cycle into death. And it's like a consumptive model of creation, which allows separation and limitation. And so that's why all in nature, right, a tree, is born and then, dies, and plants, they live and they die depending on what's going on, and this experience of that. But a lot of the plant life, for example, a tree, if there wasn't disease and things that keep it in balance, in check, they actually have this connection to the Christ spiral, which is why some trees live for hundreds of like years, even thousands of years. But we'll get into that as we move forward. So once again, you can start to see these fractal patterns everywhere. And once again, you can see on the right here is this sacred geometry once again being played out. And what does that look like? It looks like a torus field, right? All the way through the central column, the central point. And we can see it everywhere in our bodies, throughout all nature. And here on the universal, like on a galactic level, right? Once again, this spiral from the central point out. It's incredibly beautiful. It's just, once again, fractal, the holographic universe. It all comes down. So now we move into this, the dodecahedron, right? Which is this is a 2D representation of the dodecahedron here on the left, and this incredible famous symbology on the right here which I think Leonardo da Vinci channeled and brought through. Could you imagine on the Titanic, Leonardo DiCaprio start talking about sacred geometry? Anyway, but the really important bit here, right, is to understand is when we start looking into, and it's quite like challenging to see here, but on the left, each internal compass is we go to this pentagram, right, which is the 5 points, right, the ether, right, which connects all elements together, all parts of the universe. In the central, when these points are connected, each point is 108 degrees. And that's a really significant sacred number, and we're going to go into now why. Because inside this dodecahedron and the sacred geometry, the dodecahedron and the spirit of ether is the thing that connects all parts of creation. It is the thing that makes up this unified field, where if one bit of consciousness is experiencing something, all bits of consciousness experience the same thing, connected, interconnectedness. And this allows the facilitation of the oneness and the ever expanding universe, and how everything is supporting everything else, and this internal growth and infinite development that we are as one. So it's just important to understand as well that, you know, the 108, right, is this really special number, because we have 108 chakras, main chakras within the body. So the 7 main energy points that basically allow that is known in the spiritual world now. These allow the separation. They focus on the separation, but there's 108 main chakras in the body, and there is 108 beads on the japamala, right, which is what these all Indians and Tibetans, they hold the beads and they meditate with mantra, and there's a reason for that, and we're going to go into it in a second. So there is 108 main pressure points on the human body, and there's 108 energy lines or nadis converging to form the heart chakra. So everything moves once again into the torus field that converges onto the heart center. And what happens is when these 108 chakras are open and fully activated, the light within the bodies, this is what happens when liberation happens. And how do we do this? Well, we keep ourselves aligned to true north, and we keep our the things that take us out of this center. And what begins to happen is primordial energy starts to build within us, and it begins this journey, because we don't actually have to do anything. We just have to be in this state of stillness and non-action. So once again, like, we move into the deeper levels and understandings of the 108. So as we can see here, right, the moon is 108 mile, 1080 miles is, you know, the measurement of the moon. But there are 108 moons between the Earth and the moon. Okay, and the distance from the Earth to the sun is, you know, 1080 miles times 400. Okay, so there are 108 suns between Earth and the sun. And then the Earth fits 108 times around the circumference of the sun. And so what happens is, you know, this 108, when the beings of, you know, ancient India, Tibet and things, when they used to meditate with the 108 beads of the japamala, what they were doing is they were speeding up their journey around the sun. So they were progressing themselves, because energetically they were almost speeding up the cycles of their life energetically. Every time you meditate on these 108, the energy frequency of 108. So it is incredible how this all, you know, fits in together. Yeah, they basically, knowingly or unknowingly, depending on the lineage and the information they were taught, these incredible beings were like knowingly or inadvertently, energetically placing their attention onto and making orbits around the sun and speeding up their progression and development. So so now we're just going to understand a bit about what I was talking about around the sacred geometry and around the golden ratio and the Metatron's cube. So on the left here we have the Fibonacci spiral, which comes from the central point and goes up and around and down, right, which leads away and moves into this consumptive model of life and death. And on the left here, right, we have the Christ frequency, which is moving from the central point all the way down and up into the connection to the source and the alignment of all that is. So this is what the Metatronic, as I mentioned before, the Metatronic template allows this experience of separation of life and death. But it is not bad. It follows the path away from source so that we can experience separation. And there's quite a lot of stuff around, you know, things being this way or that way, being good or bad, and nothing is good or bad. It's just how we use it. Unfortunately, the beings with great awareness and advanced knowledge have used the Metatronic template for like suppression and control. And this is why we're moving away from that now. And what is happening through our sun and through the, you know, universal alignment of all these planetary astrological connections that happened last year and will be happening this year, continuing. This incredible light from the central sun is realigning our DNA to this crystal connection and the Christ within us. And it's an incredible, beautiful experience, which is why so many of us are experiencing super intensity, because our DNA is reconfiguring from this Metatronic experience of separation and limitation into the Christ sacred geometry, which is eternal life and consistently, perpetually supported and you know, moving from limitation into infinite internal support. So yeah, just wanted to clarify and bring that up. I just got a message. It's all good. Okay, so this is what's now moving, right? As we can just see it here, is moving from this central point up to the Christ spiral, and the Fibonacci is now not moving anywhere down, and we're moving up into that Christ connection. So this is what we're moving into a sacred geometry, is this, instead of moving, coming from that Metatronic state, we're moving into this lotus flower, which is supported consistently from this central point that is constantly feeding energy into our experience over and over and over again. So we move from separation and limitation into eternal connection. And so this is the final part of the information here today. So these 8 original cells are really important to begin to understand, because our 8 original cells, they hold all the sacred geometry templates of the body, and this makes us the incredible beings, unique beings that we are. And as you see here, right, this is the sacred geometry of the 8 original cells that, you know, as we saw earlier, and this is what happens within the womb of the mother. And we take 4 cells, right, from our mother line and 4 cells from our father line, and this holds all the history of the ancestors and the ancestral line. And this is the pathway of liberation, the freeing of these templates within our bodies. So these 8 energy cells stem the 3 main energy channels of the body that form the energy fields that we're going to go into in next time, when we're going to understand a bit more about these things and what's necessary needed for the pathway of liberation. Pardon me. And as you look here, right, this is, we're moving back into this original template, which on the left here at the bottom, this sacred geometry pattern. And what does that look like? Well, it looks like the lotus that we saw in the previous slide, which is this central point that is completely connecting us, and this eternal giving of energy for all things. And these 8 original cells create this sacred geometry, and they lie within our body. And the pathway of liberation is to move our kundalini, or sacred sexual energy, up from the central point at the base of the spine, all the way up the spine to the top of the head, freeing ourselves from our mother and father line and everything that we came in with, that basically are our lessons that we chose to experience. So guys, like, that is what we're going to leave it there today, because there's a lot of information. You can see here, right, as I did it again, this looks on the right here, the lotus looks exactly like the 8 original cells at the base of the spine here. So we're going to leave it there today, guys, and we're going to move on to section 2 in the next part. But yeah, love and blessings to you all. Thank you so much for your presence and your time, and I hope that this information has, you know, given you insight and wisdom, and, you know, this, because this is our divine right, and this is really remembering. And as we understand this knowledge and move into this conceptual understanding, we can start to move, and with great acceleration, towards the embodiment of it. So I love you. Love and blessings for the rest of your day, and yeah, I'll see you next time.